What's up, YouTube? I'm driving down south Arkansas today to go to a meeting this morning. Then I'm gonna cruise over to some old hunting properties and check out the woods. See if I can see anything good over there that happened last year. I didn't go in there. Anyways, I wanted to talk about some things to do with your bow, get you ready for bow season. You've been shooting all summer and all that stuff is good. Let's say you're going out and you're getting a new bow, or you're getting your backup bow ready or whatever. So first and foremost, make sure your draw length is right. That's important because that's gonna affect your bow shoulder and your anchor point. You need this bow shoulder to be down. You don't want it coming up like that. When it's up like that, it just causes all kinds of problems. The more you're pulling back, the more it moves back. You need it down, solid, bone on bone contact all the way to your grip. That can all be adjusted by your draw length. Now, once you get your draw length right, I'll make a little video and show you what I do. But you can take your D-loop that's on there, and you can tie another D-loop on there with it and make it longer, or make it shorter, and shoot different size D-loops. I don't tie them tight. I just tie them on. I'll shoot and see if it feels better with a longer D-loop. If it does, then I'll take both of them off and just put the one on that's the right length, or I'll shorten them up and try it. I don't cut the one off that I'm shooting with. I just put one on over the top and the bottom of that knot, making it longer or shorter if I feel like that's something I need to play with. But you can definitely play with it and work on your draw length a little bit. You can get it fine-tuned to where your anchor point, I like my anchor point to hit in a certain specific spot every time for every bow, so I play with mine to do that. Now, after that, you need to always make sure your bow's in time. If you have a dual cam bow and your cams are not hitting at the same time, it can cause a lot of little problems. It'll make your bow a little bit louder. It'll make you get left and right tears in paper. It'll make you get left and right arrow flights. You'll see your arrow doing like this when it's flying. So always make sure your bow's in time. After you get those two things, paper tuning. Paper tuning is awesome. I always paper tune all my bows. I'll do it at 10 feet and then I'll get back to about 20 feet. But that doesn't mean you're done just because you're getting a bullet hole. Your next thing is you got to go out there and you got to shoot at a target. What I like to do is I'll pick a dot about the size of a golf tee, a dime or something. Shoot it at 10 feet. Adjust your sight till you're hitting that dot dead center, left and right. And up and down, but you're more concerned with left and rights right now. Hit that dot dead center at 10 feet, left and right. Go ahead and dial in your up and down too, and then you keep moving back 20 yards, 30 yards, 40 yards, 50 yards, 60 yards. Go at least to 60 yards, because what will happen is, just because you're shooting a bullet hole through paper doesn't mean that your rest is dead center for long arrow flight. You could be shooting still, 3 or 4 inches left at 60, 70 yards, and you're still going to shoot perfect at 30 and 20. So walk back, tune it. If your arrow's steadily walking to the left as you get back further, that means you need to move your rest just a hair to the right. If it's steadily walking to the right as you move back further, then you need to move your rest a hair to the left. Now, when I'm saying move it, I'm talking about minute. Like technically you can't even see the movement. You know that you moved it just a hair, but you can't see. It's tiny movement. Once you do that back to about 60, that should take care of your left and rights. Now, if you're just barely shooting off, if you're shooting 2 inches to the left or something like that, or the right at 40 or 50, 60 yards, that might just mean you might just need to move your pin a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll shoot it at 10 feet, I'll hit that dot, I'll get all the way back to 60. If I'm getting a little bit left and right, first thing I'll do is I'll move my pins and get my centers at 60. Then I go back up to 10 feet and shoot that dot again. So let's say I hit the dot at 10 feet, I move back to 60 and I'm shooting 3 inches left. I'll move my pins left, get my 60 center shot perfect, then I'll walk back up to the dot. Now, if I go back up to the dot and I shoot at that dot, and now my arrow's not hitting the center of that dot anymore, I'm hitting to the right. right of it, and it's going to be a little bit, it's not going to be a lot because you're 10 feet away, then I know that it was my rest and not my pins. So I'll move my pins back, get my center dot in there, then I'll walk back to 60, shoot again, and this time I'll move my rest over. So first try your pins, but you got to go from 60 to 10, 60 to 10. When you're shooting at 10 feet and you're aiming at a dot, like if you're hitting that dot perfect before you move your pins, and now you say you're hitting to the right edge of that dot, because that's all it's going to do. It's not going to move all the way off the dot. Then you know that it's your rest. If you're still hitting dead center of that dot, then it was your pins. Walk back to 60 and just continue to do that until you get your pin and your rest dialed in. Now your left and rights are good. Your up and downs, it's just going to be you. It's going to be you just practicing. You're either chopping your bow or not holding steady or whatever. Don't move your rest up or down for up or downs. Once you get it paper tuned and you get in that bullet hole, leave your up and down where it's at. Unless you're getting a crazy flight out of your arrow and you're not able to get rid of it by moving your rest minute movements left or right, then you may have your timing off on your rest or something. Check the timing on your rest first. If that's good, then you might need to move your rest down just a hair. Most of the time, if your rest is a little bit low, your bow will still shoot fine. You can do it. You can put your bow on a vise, put a level on your string, and that string level the level on your string will be dead nuts perfect, but the level on your arrow might be touching the line on the same side as your string, and your bow will still shoot fine. Most bows like to be a little bit knockout, but once you get that, you should be good to go to dial in all your pins. Now, I wouldn't worry too much if you're not going to be shooting 60 yards, 50 yards, your farthest shot's going to be 30, then I would still personally get dialed in at 60, because that's just going to make you that much better at 30 and 20. But I wouldn't worry about going much past 60. I would like to practice double of what my average shot is. So if my average shot is going to be 20 yards, I'll practice at 40. If my average shot's going to be 40 yards, I'll practice at 80. The more you practice at long distance, the easier that up close shot's going to be. It's almost like pointing your finger and you're good. Nock tuning. Oh man, nock tuning. Nock tuning is when you basically, all you need to worry about nock tuning is when you go buy half a dozen of arrows or a dozen arrows or however many arrows, and you got 4 of them 6 are hitting good and 2 of them hits in a different spot every time. Take them 2 arrows and rotate your fletching, your cock feather that's sticking straight up, or however you have them set up, rotate them 1 fletching around. Shoot it again, see if it's hitting in the same spot as the rest of them. If it's not, rotate it again. You got 3 spots you can turn it on. 9 times out of 10, if you roll that fletching around 1 time, that arrow will straighten up. Go ahead and mark it as your backup arrow. Like if you make a bad shot, hit one hind, and you need to put another one in it. But that's all nock tuning is good for. That's literally it. There's nothing else you're going to get out of nock tuning. Just if you have 1 or 2 arrows that's hitting high or low or left or right every time, it may only be an inch or it might be 2 inches. Just rotate it to where your cock feather changes 1 time, and it'll most of the time go away. If it doesn't go away, just forget that arrow. It's no good. Really, that's really all you need to do. Bows in timing. Make sure your draw length is good. Paper tune it. Paper tune it yourself. Don't let anyone else paper tune your bow. It does no good, because they're not going to shoot it how you shoot it. Once you get it paper tuned, go out there and shoot it at 10 feet, and then do your walk back tuning back to 50 yards, 60 yards, whatever is best accommodates you. And remember, cares? You shoot that bow the way that you shoot it the best. This is about you and your bow and your deer. Arrows. Guys, you can walk into Bass Pro Shop or any archery shop and buy any arrow straight off the shelf, have it cut to length, put your 100-grain broadhead in there and go hunt. You don't need a heavy arrow. You don't need a super light arrow. The arrows that are made those guys know what they're doing. Those arrows are made to where you can buy them, cut them to your length, throw a 100-grain broadhead on there and go hunting. They're going to be fine. My wife, she shot a bow for 2 weeks, went hunting, killed her first deer with it. She was shooting a 45-pound bow. Her arrow was like a noodle. I could shake it and wobble it. Rage hypodermic, smoked a deer like 15 yards. My buddy Drew, last year he learned how to shoot a bow. Went hunting, he's shooting 55 pounds off the shelf arrow, Easton Axis 5mm, cut to his length, no inserts, no none of that mess, just a regular 100-grain broadhead. Shot a deer 20 yards, got a complete pass through with a 3-inch Grim Reaper, 1.5-inch cut. I'm sorry, not a 3-inch, a 3-blade Grim Reaper, 1.5-inch cut, complete pass through, stuck in the ground on the other side about 6 inches, and deer didn't go anywhere. 50 pounds, 55 pounds, it was 50 or 55 pounds. Just a standard arrow. You don't need a heavy arrow. If you want a heavy arrow, get one. But the guys, I see guys talking about the arch of the arrow. It's not enough to make a difference unless you're hunting in thick woods. Who cares about the arch of the arrow? What matters is the time it takes for that arrow to leave your bow and get to that deer. It can arch 10 feet up in the air if it's getting there like that. Now, I mean, obviously, if you're hunting in thick woods, you don't want any arch, but the arch doesn't matter. What matters is the speed that it takes to get there. I'm telling you guys, if the average, your bow should be shooting 280 to 285. End of story. Unless you're shooting 50 pounds or something like that. You can buy a light enough arrow to shoot a 60-pound bow and still get 285 out of it. Still going to pass through a deer. Still going to kill a deer. I was shooting at I was paper tuning the bow the other night, and the arrow went all the way through the bag target. 3 feet behind the bag target is the metal building, the wall of my shop. It went through the wall, all the way through the wall, across the yard, 20 yards, and into my privacy fence. Into my privacy fence, all the way through it, up to the fletching. Ruined the arrow. I was not happy. I need to get a new bag target, apparently, for paper tuning. But, I mean, come on. That's 70-pound bow. It's a standard Platinum Pierce arrow with a 100-grain broadhead. It wasn't a broadhead, it was a field point. Through a bag target, through a metal wall, through a privacy fence. It was probably a total of 30 yards, because it's about 20 yards from where the fence is to the building, and I was about probably 10 yards away inside the building shooting. Probably about 5 yards away. Anyway, not a heavy arrow. But think about it. If your bow is if you're shooting 285 feet per second with a regular arrow, and then you go get a heavy arrow, and now you're shooting 259 feet per second, or 255 to 285. That's 30 feet in 1 second. 30 feet. You guys have all seen what a deer does. Watch a video when he hears that arrow and he drops. You can't beat that. You can't beat it. Now, you're going to give up 30 feet away from him just because you might hit the shoulder blade? Listen, if you hit the shoulder blade and you don't hit that ridge, your arrow is going through it. It's going through it. It's going in there deep enough to kill a deer. I mean, think about it, guys. Think about all the pros, all the most decorated archers in the world. Tim Gillingham, Levi Morgan, Chris B. The list goes on and on and on. Mikowskis, all them guys. You never hear them guys talking about, well, I'm switching over to a super heavy arrow because I might hit the shoulder blade. No, if you hit the shoulder blade, it's going to go through. If you hit the ridge in the center, I don't care what kind of arrow you're shooting, it's not going to go through there. And even if it does, you're either going to be lucky or unlucky. You shoot a 900 grain arrow and you hit that ridge, it's still going to turn your arrow one way or the other. If it turns it to the front of the deer, you're probably not going to get him. If it turns it towards the back of the deer, you're probably going to kill him. That's luck. I mean, that's luck. Michael Waddell, T-Bone, them guys ain't shooting no heavy arrows. Them guys are killers. Killers. I don't know. I would be willing to say that you could fill up a mall with deer heads just from the names that I just named. They don't shoot heavy arrows, guys. They shoot regular, standard arrows. Nothing wrong with heavy arrows, but don't let it get in your head to where you got to go get a 600 or 700 grain arrow, because you don't. My time up in Montana and Wyoming, meeting all those elk hunters. I'm not an elk hunter. I've never elk hunted in my life. Those guys are shooting standard arrows. One of the guys I know is shooting 60 pounds, shooting 295 feet per second with a 60-pound bow and a super ultralight arrow using a Rage Trypan, however you say it. Anyway, shoot them if you want them, but you don't have to have them. That's all I'm saying. That's really about all I got for now, other than practice, and then when you think you're the baddest dude in the world and you're shooting like Jesus, practice some more. Practice sitting down. Practice spinning all the way around with your feet your feet facing the way they're supposed to. Turn as far as you can to the back and shoot. Turn as far as you can to the right and shoot. Like I said, shoot sitting down, shoot leaning over. If you ever have to lean around the tree, or if you hunt from a tent, make sure you can draw your bow back, like straight back, without having to get your arm up and push. You can't raise it up and shoot when you're in a tent, and if a deer's 15, 20 yards away and you have to stop him, if he's moving quick and you have to stop him as you're drawing back, you need to be able to do it as fast as you can with his least movement, because he's already going to look at you when you stop him. But practice, guys. You want to make sure that that's the one thing you have control of when you go hunting. In your head, you know if you see that deer and it's an open shot and he's within your range, you know you can kill him if you want to. That's the one thing that should be in your head at all times. There should never be any doubt that you can't hit what you want to hit. If there is, you need to practice some more before you go hunting. Whatever your effective yardage is, if you need to shoot, in my opinion, you need to be able to shoot a 3-inch group at that yardage. If that's 20 yards, if you get to 30 and you can't keep a 3-inch group, then you don't need to be shooting a deer past 20. If that's 70 yards and you can shoot a 3-inch group at 70 yards consistently, shoot a deer at 70 yards. That's your range. Anyway, that's all I got for now. You guys have a good day. I'll get back with you when I go in there and do some of that scouting. Let you see what I find. Okay, so I was just thinking, disclaimer, I technically don't know what kind of arrow any of those guys shoot, but I do know that I've been following them guys my whole life. I idolize all of them. They're killers. They're awesome dudes. They're bow shooting machines. I've never heard them saying you got to have a heavy arrow. I've never heard them talk about heavy arrows. So anyway, I just want to throw that in there. I don't personally know any of them or know what kind of arrow they're shooting, but